One red light, two red lights, three red lights, four red lights, five red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for our first race of the day. 12 minutes of racing here at the Montreal Circuit in Canada. And as Cope gets a good start, Phillip Hammer launches into P2. Igor Kos, meanwhile, caught napping slightly as now he tries to come back around the outside to inside into turn 2. Raj Senna there working out well for Kos. They make the way up the corner. And as they now head up towards what is turns 3 and 4 in the charge here underneath the tree line, we can see most of our drivers as Patrick Thompson holding on the inside versus Danny Lee into the chicane, going early there for the move. And you can see Cedric and Thompson have both gained places at the start. They both moved up places, as meanwhile further behind Chris Rance here and holds on to lead the silver class. Adam Greveson immediately behind a slowdown for Simon B. Bamber. I believe that may be for track limits at turn 3 and 4 as we're to understand it, so he's having to serve that early as they now all make their way in pandemonium on through the second chicane. You can see two wide for most of the silver class field here as they all try and negotiate one another. Chris Eddisford has lost 6 places at the start in the silver class. He's down to P23, a slow start for Eddisford. Opening half a lap here, it's a clean start from the field, but a lock up there for Eddisford. I think also a bit of contact with the grass and perhaps contact with another driver that sent him on his way, but either way, not a great start for the UKC Racing admin team driver. There's going to be nose to tail here with the two Olympus esports drivers giving themselves the tow, and on top of that Lee will pick up the double tow by comparison as they head on down towards turns 13 and 14. Lee there trying to squeeze his way to the inside, forced to switch back to the outside here, and will goes all in on the brakes. This is brave from Lee, side by side, a bit of contact there between the two and further contact, and will neither driver wanting to give way, and well, it is difficult to negotiate the chicane too wide, but meanwhile coming through the middle, which going to be Emil Koopmans here with Chris Rance coming up behind, and as they make their way onto another lap, Emil Koopmans pulls up through the P5 as they charge their way into turns 1 and 2. Rance as well gaining places by the dozen here. Danny Lee now on the charge here from P7 as he looks to try and make the move on Rance, and well, Rance losing out to Foster. Now Lee trying to do the same versus the silver leader, and Rance defending here as they make the way on through turn number 2. Side by side they go. Lee getting on the power a bit earlier there on the exterior line, and as they head up towards turn number 3 onto the brakes here. Well, Rance not backing out so far, but he opts to back out. I think realising that there's no point fighting any longer. He's here to take that silver win as a minimum, and having a little bit of a spar with the gold drives. It's all well and good. We do have a bit of a battle ongoing between Alistair Hatcher and Chris Eddisford, and well, Hatcher has gained multiple places. He started from the very back of the grid, we should point out, down in what was P25, and meanwhile Eddisford and Paul Joseph Cliss exchanging the places here as Eddisford on the inside versus the Olympus esports driver, and well, I think Cliss has got some damage to the car potentially, or at least on the rear bumper, and Eddisford up the inside there regains P19 and P8 in the silver class, and Eddisford now will try and come back as Hatcher defends on the inside of the kink going through turn 12, but as they make their way side by side here, Eddisford will have the overspeed, but the question is how much speed will he get, how much rear will he be running on the car before he gets to the World Champion chicane here, where it will be Hatcher who defends on the inside, extends his braking line here, too wide they go, contact and Hatcher's into the wall, and well, they're trying to make it too wide. I think he expected Eddisford to back out, but then Eddisford was not going to back out, and Hatcher in the end, we has to wait now to get the car turned around once again. We take a look back at an instant which involved Sean Dobie on lap number 2, and here's what happened. We was on the run into turn number 1, and a lock up there under braking into the opening corner and goes along, and well, takes the escape road there and just gradually brings the car back onto the circuit, but waits for the field to clear. An easy mistake to make, locking up into turn number 1, but there does a brilliant job of rejoining. And on lap number 4, we had a nasty incident from what we're hearing for Alex Hiscox into turn number 1. The team Welsh driver here battling with James Parker onto the brakes. He went, took a little bit of curb, but nothing major, and then onto the grass. Car just straight lines on, and well, in the end having to stop the car and just about brings it before the tyre barrier there, but that could have been far, far worse. He's lost a lot of places. We return to action into the wall there on the exit of turn number 7, trying to get the power down as Craig Shield comes on through, and Alistair Hatcher's race going from good to bad to disastrous, and with the Sunset Machine right now up the inside here into turn 3. Chris turns on in, and Hiscox there being chopped slightly, and well, I think he will be a little bit annoyed that one as he taps through his rival. Meanwhile, Dobie now is going to try and make it too wide versus Hiscox through turn number 5, and as they come on through here, well, Hiscox loses the place, and the Team Welsh drive falls back behind Dobie as they head onto the brakes here for the second chicane. And this is what happened to Igor Kos. He made his way for the World Championship chicane, just missing the wall initially, and goodness me, that is car control, a small graze on the exit wall, but by comparison what it could have been, Igor Kos just been a bit too adventurous for the amount of speed he carried off the turn 14 apex curve. And we do have a battle between Wayne Vasson for FR20 Sim Racing, who goes very deep, 3 wide there, and there's contact with Jeremy Debova, and that could have consequences in the Silver Class Championship with Debova into the wall, and what a 3 wide moment for a of brevity, but let's take a look back at what exactly happened. Well, they made the way on the braking. Vasson on the inside there overextended his brake marker, and then Eddisford side by side with Debova, who turned across, and then it was what was a side-by-side contact between Debova and Vasson as they both tried to share the same bit of tarmac. It goes onwards into the barrier, it's a lock-up, and the car's into the wall, and I would imagine that may be a retirement for Debova Challenge's number 7 driver, in the fact that car is not going anywhere. And as he makes his way to the finish line, it's Checkered Flag waves, and Olympus Esports Vanguard's Thomas Cope from the United Kingdom makes it another win on the way to the gold championship crown, and behind him by 5.3 seconds will be Phillip Hammer as he crosses the line there, P2, in what has been a brilliant drive to the podium. Igor Kos P3 holds off Emil Koopmans, and Chris Rance takes his first silver class win of the season, P7 overall, and the CS Sim Racing UK will start P2 on the grid for our second racer today. Joseph Clist, who makes his way out of the final chicane. It's a drag race here between him and Mark Oliver. Who's going to win in the drag race? It's going to be Mark Oliver, who takes P21, P10 the silver class ahead of Paul Joseph Clist, P22. This is how they line up for our second race of the day. It is Patrick Thompson who takes reverse grid pole for Olympus Esports Vanguard, joined on the front row by CS Sim Racing UK's Chris Rance. He's your silver pole sitter, starting at P2. Behind them on row at number 2 is Danny Lee and Nathan Foster, followed up by Emil Koopmans and Igor Kos, who line up on row at number 3. And in the completion of the top 8 inversion, we will see Phillip Hammer and Thomas Cope line up side by side on row at number 4, P7, P8 respectively. Completing the top 10 on row number 5, it's Jack Atkinson and Daniel Sedgley. It's time for the lights. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go once again for our second race of the day here in the 30-minute features. Look at Igor Kos immediately springing to life. That's 2 places gained. And as they make the way into turn number 1, can he go further? As Lee on the inside of Rance here into turn number 2. Rance backs up initially under braking, but meanwhile Emil Koopmans being squared out there in a bit of contact. We can see everybody sliding around on cold tyres as they make the way up towards turn at number 3. And into the braking zone here, it's going to be 2 by 2 as Rance defends versus what is Cope. They're Cope going around the outside to inside, gets the place. Hammer defending it versus Sedgley, and meanwhile Koopmans trying to come back now as they make the way through the right-hander return at number 5 as they head into the braking zone where Igor Kos up to P3 already, and an absolute sublime start to his race. And as they make the way through the chicane here, everybody now just itching for the places they come through. Chris Eddisford as well has gained 3 places in class. He's up to P14 already as we see Alex Hiscox looking for a potential move under braking into the hairpin versus Steve Hobbs. Can't find it, switches back to the outside and tries to pin off the inside. Coming in like a missile. That is, I believe, Mark Oliver, who's got it very, very wrong. And as he gets the car stopped there, that's going to send a couple of drives deep, and adds the Hatcher into the wall there on the exit of the corner. We've got further carnage up the road, and that is Jeremy Debova, who's got it wrong, going through the kink of 11 into 12. Not quite sure what's happened there. We'll have to take a look back at that very shortly. But meanwhile, what we can reassure you is after 1 lap of racing, here's your leaders, and it's Patrick Thompson who leads, going on to lap number 2 ahead of Danny Lee P2. By 1 is there Phillip Hammer and Daniel Sedgley, but Sedgley trying to go around the outside of Hammer into turn 10. Can't quite find it as they make the way onto the back straight, and side by side they go here, and it's going to be a drag race between the 2 drivers as they make the way down the Castle straight. And who is going to be the bolder of the 2 into the chicane? You can see Sedgley trying to pin Hammer as much as he can to inside, and he wants Hammer to be compromised. He wants Hammer to back out, but Hammer can't afford to back out here because his championship is definitely on the line. And as they make the way through turns 13 and 14, Hammer holds on. Sedgley they're not quite able to get the German driver to back out, and the Briton Aaron's away behind as they make the way up towards turn number 1 once again. But as they charge him down, it's 3 wide here in the run to turn number 1. That's going to be Parker on the outside, Axon in the middle, and Foster on the inside. Miller trying to go round the outside of Foster is Simon Bamber, and Bamber all within on the brakes into turn number 2. Well, I'm not quite sure what they do fed between races 1 and 2, but I can tell you one thing, the battles right now are ever more intense. And as they make the way on through turns 8 and 9, we see Rance here digging in and trying to stem the tide of gold drives past him, but with Parker on the outside of him now down towards turn 10, you've also got Bamber trying to get involved here. 3 wide once again practically as they head on to the anchors. Everyone concertina in here under braking, and as they come on through the right-hander, Rance down and inside line gets the power down, but with a lot of power oversteer, but he collects the car together and Atkinson forced to stay behind as they make the way up towards what is turn at number 13. And in the charge here, well, right now, it could not be closer between these two, and everybody else up front has been allowed to get away, but Atkinson trying to go around the outside of Rance, also Bamber trying to follow through here. The two UK Sim Racing Admin team drivers trying to go 1 by 2, and as they do, contact between Bamber and Rance. Rance carries on, but Bamber is around, and everyone splits the seas around the stricken Porsche as he just has to wait here, and this is an absolutely punishing and painful situation to be in. We just can't go anywhere and has to wait his turn before he can rejoin. But meanwhile, Adam Greveson there going around the outside of Chris Rance. Eddisford coming through as well, and Greveson's into the lead of the silver class with Eddisford trying to take a poke as they make the way out of turn number 2. But as they do, it's absolute upheaval in the silver class, and Rance has been muscled around by the gold drivers, and now he's been muscled around by silver peers as Greveson tries to hold on to lead here, and close rival, and well indeed old rival from earlier on in the season, Chris Eddisford right behind him. But meanwhile, Alex Hiscox here being passed by Wes Didi Blaming around the outside, and a nice move then from Blaming to make it count as they head down towards turn number 10. In fact, that's a defence from Didi Blaming, we should point out, and Hiscox trying to come at him. We're not able to make it, so in fact Hiscox on the charge of blaming the defender, and as they head on through turn number 10, Hiscox getting the cutback there off the hairpin, but not quite getting the run off the corner. And as we do, there's been an incident for Thomas Cove, who's off the road there at turn number 2, and will we take a look back for only a brief moment, and well, what exactly has happened to Thomas Cove? And that's the big question. Well, we will get a replay of that quite quickly, I would imagine. Well, battling side by side with Igor Kos, then going into turn 2 and onto the brakes. Kos coming extremely hot there, it would seem, and well, I think he would argue he had the right to some space into turn number 2. Cope would argue he fairly got ahead then, could close the door. We've got a battle here between two of the 88 Tech machines and Jeremy Dwell from Development Change. The 88 Tech tries being Glenn Humberstone and Mark Oliver. Oliver is in the left-hand foreground of your picture, the both are behind him, and as they make the way into turn 13, it's going to be free wide under brake in, the moment touching the grass with the rear right tyre, and as he does so, clips Oliver, and the two of them go around there, and a frustrating moment for the Development Challenge driver. He waits to let Oliver reset the car, but as Debova comes into the pit lane, I think this may be a day not to remember for the Belgian, and definitely right now his championship lead will be cut into massively come the end of today, as we look to the driver who's benefiting from the difficulties of Debova, and it's Chris Eddisford in particular right now, P2 silver. He's still got Chris Rance behind him, but is trying to make further progress, and that was how Danny Lee took the lead in this race in the gold class. And here's the replay from lap number 6. It was a battle under braking into turn 10 at the hairpin. Patrick Thompson just locking up there, and Danny Lee needed another opportunity to seize the day and the moment with it as he took the lead, and then Thompson not quite able to come back in the run down the back straight. Always going to be Basson who holds the outside line. Doby's going to be invited to look up the inside. Where's this the trap here? Will Basson just simply outbrake? Well, Doby's going to go all in, side by side they go on the anchors, and Basson there outside to inside can't quite hold the defensive line, and Sean Doby comes on through, and now Basson's going to be vulnerable to a further overtake for Alex Hiscox, because it's oversteer on power on the exit, and as they make the way up towards turn number 1, Hiscox on the outside, Basson defending on the inside on the right of your picture, but as Hiscox tries to go all the way round, he can't quite find it, but now it's called a bit of a tide here in terms of silver drivers all queuing up behind, and Basson under increasing pressure as Doby puts a whole second almost between the two of them in the run to P5 in the silver class. But meanwhile, Basson versus Hiscox here as they come down towards turn number 10. Onto the brakes they go, Hiscox on the left of your picture, Basson on the right, and on the inside, Hiscox does make the apex there. Basson thinks about closing it down, but realises he can't. It will be tantamount to difficulty between the two of them, he was to, and as they make their way down the back straight, with Basson getting an absolutely splendorous exit as they make their way up towards turn number 13, and well, Hiscox has to defend now, and Basson on the offensive here as they make the way up towards the next braking zone. Well, Hiscox will know that if he holds that inside line, he can force Basson to have to back out. You will have seen what happened between Basson and Doby, only a lap ago, and again, Basson falls victim to be on the outside there of the chicane on the defense. As they make the way through turn number 2, nose to tail they go, and Humberstone very eager to try and find a way through it at the moment as they make the way into turn 3. Well, we run on board here the nose camera of the 18 Tech car as he gets very close to the back of the car in front and trying to do essentially muscle his way on through is their claim to Humberstone. But as they make the way through turn number 5 and up towards 6-7, we imagine right now the Britain are so eager to try and find a way through with a lot of pace at his fingertips, but he just cannot seem to find his way past the Belgian front. But he's got to move here as they make the way out of turn number 7. It's going to be side by side in the run down towards 8-9, and as they come down towards the braking zone here, well, Hammerstone's got the inside, he's got the advantage. Surely he's got this all sewn up and done, and well, as he breaks his way into the third chicane, he will get the move done. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, the battle for P2 in the steel class now in full swing, side by side into the hairpin. They go Rance on the outside, Eddisford on the inside, and Rance there with a little bit of oversteer as he tries to get the power down early, but the car catching him out. But he's able to bring the car back into a straight line, and well, 3 tenths is the gap, but he's in the tow. We look up to Igor Kos battling side by side with Phillip Hammer, and Hammer on the offensive here as they head on towards another lap. Side by side the two German drivers go. Kos defending around the outside, Hammer takes a peek on the inside, can't quite find the overlay there under braking, and Kos defending hard here. He wants to make it another podium today, and as they make the way in towards turn number 8, we look to that lead battle. Thompson on the inside here versus Lee, and Lee's early gains now coming back to haunt him. I think the tyres might be going off for Lee, but Thompson goes a bit deep there into the chicane, and as he does so, Lee will have a run back here, but keep in mind that Kos and Hammer now are only 1 second off in this battle, so we could be seeing a 4-way fight for the win here today before it's said and done, and it's going to be Lee round the outside of Thompson, but keep in mind there, Lee's got to go the long way round. It's a long circumference, he'll get a very wide line, but as he does so, picks up some oversteer. The same for Kos, and Lee survives, Kos survives as well, but Hammer now will try and gain the place of Kos. He does so. It's a drag race all the way down the back straight, and as they make the way on down, you can see that Thompson trying to break the toe, weaving from side to side, where he'll get a bit of a warning for multiple weaves down the straight. You are allowed one move for weaving on the straight to break the toe, but still there, he'll push it to the limit as much as he can as he grazes the wall. Sparks coming off at the rear right quarter panel of the Olympus Esports leader, and as they make the way up towards turn number 1, it's a top 5, only separated by 1.2 seconds if that. On the inside goes Cope versus Kos. There's contact between the two of them, and Cope coming in hot, and Kos made to go wide, but for Thomas Cope, it seems like Igor Kos has been the fly in the ointment, if you will, as Cope in the end just not able to find his way through, coming in bold and brash, and it wasn't the right approach in the end. And that Hammer now is close, and Hammer will want that win just as much to try and bring some parity to the championship standings with 3 rounds to go after today. Well, any one of these 3 could win it. They all deserve it in their own right, but who will it be? Igor Kos is closing as well. He is only 1.7 seconds off of this. 4 minutes left to go, ladies and gentlemen, as they charge away down the back straight, and right now Patrick Thompson is using every trick in the book in order to hold on, but as Lee and Hammer stay close here, they make the way through the chicane, and well, Thompson loses the rear of the car, and it lets go. He's pushed it too hard, and Thompson falls. The rear wing falls off the car as well, and now it means that Danny Lee leads this race, and for the first time he leads a lap going into what is now lap number 17 of this feature race. Also looking at battles of podium spaces, we can see here in the steel class the battle of P2 in class between Chris Eddisford and Chris Rance. The two Chris's going toe to toe. They make the way down to turn number 10, and Rance looking around the outside. Well, I think this could be a fake out and looking to go for the cutback instead, but Eddisford sees it coming and just simply parks it on apex. Rance makes a little bit of tap there to the rear of his rival, but as they make the way down the back straight, nose to tail, Rance now will be extremely close here in the toe. He'll be thinking about looking for the move. Edison puts the car in the middle of the road. Rance looks to the outside. He's going to commit to the outside into the chicane. As they head into the braking zone for turns 13 and 14, Edison defends here. A compromise line. Rance trying to make it too wide. They go too wide. They both survive, but Edison gets the better exit. And I think feeling as though the confidence is coming for the 188 drivers. They make the way into the hairpin. Behind them, Igor Kos under pressure, and Thomas Cope. Cope up the inside this time, and Kos steering it well clear between the two of them. And I think maybe he missed his braking point as well. Wrong, but meanwhile, Hammer versus Lee into turns 1 and 2. It's side by side on the exit. I think Lee's made an error as Hammer's found the space. Lee coming back immediately onto the grass there with 2 wheels, but Hammer has got through on the final lap, and Lee loses out. He'll try and stay behind Hammer as long as he can, as Hammer has a poor run out to turn number 4. They make the way through the right-hander down towards 5. Lee's going all in. He's looking for the move, but he can't quite find it. Lee doesn't want to give up. He wants that win. Straight they charge on down. The checker flag will wait them this time. Lee gaining as much toe as he can, but as they head on to the brakes, Hammer holds the lead position going on through the final 2 corners. The checker flag gets ready to wave, and as it does so, it will be Phillip Hammer who takes victory here in the round 12 feature race at Montreal ahead of Danny Lee P2. through. Thomas Cope will come through to complete the golden overall podium ahead of Igor Kos, who finishes P4, and then it will be Patrick Thompson who holds on to P5 ahead of the long line of cars behind him to return to the top step of the silver podium. It's been a long time coming. P10 overall, it's Adam Greveson for FR20 Sim Racing, and then Chris Eddisford holds on to take the runner-up spot in the silver class ahead of the driver of Chris Rance there, as Rance couldn't find a way through, completes the silver podium.